Friends, I'd like to share some thoughts on what I'm calling inclusion in a virtual environment. You'll be relieved to know that this message is not a 5-step best practice for being an inclusive leader in a virtual environment. That'll be in the next post. This message is for the non-people leaders, those of you still doing your jobs to the best of your ability in this new normal of working virtually, or in your workplace, or out and about while maintaining social distancing. You know, nowadays you can stick the word virtual in front of just about anything. Virtual happy hour, virtual dance party, virtual conference, virtual training, virtual date night. You get what I'm saying. Pick a thing you used to do live and in person, stick the word virtual in front of it, and keep it moving, right? Now that works for most things these days, as it absolutely must, but it shouldn't work for everything. Take virtual inclusion, for instance. Yes, virtual inclusion. You see, inclusion, in my humble opinion, is one of those words that should never have the word virtual in front of it. It's a misnomer, an oxymoron. Now, to make sense of this, let's start by defining each of those words. Now, not that you don't know what either term means, but defining them will help illustrate the point I'm trying to make. Let's start with the word include. To include means to contain within as part of the whole. The word include suggests the containment of something as a constituent, component, or subordinate part of a larger whole. To be included means to be a part of something. Now, the word inclusion means the action or state of including or of being included within a group or structure. So one has to include for another to be part of something. Inclusion is the required behavior to make included possible. You see, to be inclusive is active. It's not passive. You got to work at being inclusive. It's intentional. Now, the word virtual is interesting in and of itself. It means being such an essence or effect, though not formally recognized or admitted. Now, that's the good news definition. The bad news for virtual is almost or nearly as described, but not completely according to strict definition. Another way to define virtual is to say almost a particular thing or quality. So, based upon these definitions, when you put those two words together, virtual inclusion means almost a part of the whole in essence, but not really. Almost, but not really. Now, I'm taking a few liberties here, but what I'm trying to suggest is very important. You see, I don't think there should ever be such a thing as virtual inclusion. Now, depending upon your circumstance, it's tough enough to be included under normal circumstances in a real environment, let alone a virtual one. And if that's true, as I suspect it is, then some of us have our work cut out for us. Truth be told, friends, some of our leaders and managers struggle with leading inclusively, just as it is. I wonder how much more they must be struggling to lead a virtual workforce during the midst of a worldwide epidemic. Hashtag alone together? Perhaps not. Friends, our well-intended leaders are scrambling to make sense of the new normal. And while doing so, they may revert to old habits to get new things done. Their circle of consultants, confidants, counselors, and advisors may narrow. Their routines are abbreviated, and the many, many decisions they need to make are being made quicker. They may not include multiple perspectives. They may not include different types of experiences. They may not include an awareness or insight that's foreign to them. They may not include you. Friends, I'd like to make it plain that now is not the time to let your guard down, to get lost in the VPN and take pleasure in multitasking while wearing your pajamas or favorite loungewear. Now is not the time to keep your head down and to stay in your lane. However, now is the time to look up and to look around and lean in, Now is the time to share your ideas and insights. Now is the time to engage in conversation, to establish and strengthen relationships, to tighten connections. Now, my friends, is the time to elevate your willingness to contribute to and support others in what they're doing. So many of us are depending on it. Right now, more than ever before, is the time to use your talents, skills, and abilities, your experience, your insights and perspectives, and make your voice heard. Now is the time not only to maintain your presence, but to promote it and remove any doubt that you are real and not virtual. Avoid this potential peril and resist being virtually included. It's just real talk.